On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Pilgrimage of the Soul by Mono. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And sometimes we like to talk about things that are pretty much not metal.
Yeah.
Kind of kissing the edge every once in a while. Some post-metal, but mostly 99% post-rock is what you'd call this album from Mono. They've got
definitely
plenty of other albums that maybe dip more so into the post-metal side of things. But for the most part, you would describe Mono as a post-rock band.
Yes.
They're from Japan,
Tokyo,
and they've been around since 1999 and have got a lengthy discography. They've put in a lot of work, and all of it that I have experienced thus far, which I think I've listened to everything going back to 2009. I want to say, all of that I've really enjoyed. I've really liked a lot of it. I listened to bits and pieces of a live performance that they did with an orchestra with them, which is amazing because they are that kind of post-rock band that brings in and records or at the very least uses really, really good sounding samples of orchestral music, if not proper recordings, and then occasionally will perform with those elements on stage, kind of reminiscent of, and there are bits and pieces of the sound in each of their albums too, that because, I've listened to so many other post-rock bands, I listen to a new post-rock band and I'm like, oh, this bit sounds like that. This bit sounds like that. And I'm like, They've been around since 99. Like, it's fair enough to say they're their own thing, but I can't help hear other bands. And so I hear a lot of Godspeed You Black Emperor.
Yeah.
I hear,
like I said earlier, a lot of We Lost the Sea.
Yeah. Which would be weird because We Lost the Sea has only been around since like 2008.
Sure.
But
right. But I mean, I'm not saying that one is copying the other. I'm just saying that it's,
that you recognize the commonalities,
right?
Which is absolutely a thing. But we'll talk more about Mono in a while. But first, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
It's the month of June. It now. We're coming into summertime.
I have a child that's going to be visiting next week from Arizona.
Ooh,
she's going to be 27 tomorrow. Yeah, and she and her fiance are coming up. Well, actually, what they're doing is they're coming up here to go to a wedding in Rugby.
Of all places.
Yeah.
Rugby.
Wedding. Yeah. And then they said, hey, Dad, we're coming up to North Dakota. I'm like, oh, cool. We get to hang out. Yeah, we're going to a wedding in Rugby. But can we stay at your apartment? I'm like, absolutely. You can stay at my apartment.
Sure.
Yeah.
A wedding in Rugby.
A wedding in Rugby.
And Rugby.
MJ McGuire's in Rugby. Drive a little Chevrolet.
This is narrow casting. It's incredible narrow casting.
It is there's a car dealer in Rugby, North Dakota on Highway 3
that's used the same jingle for I don't know since when. I'm not from this part of the state, so I hadn't heard it before I started working for the company that produces their radio ads.
Let me tell you right now. There isn't a molecule of your body that was a Kayle before.
My body has completely replaced itself.
Well, I guess
probably a couple of times.
3 times. Yeah.
It's what, every 7 years? Something like that. So it's been around at least as long as you've been working.
Yeah.
For that jingle has been around.
That jingle's the better one I think was for a car dealership that is no longer there. It's called Ripplinger Motors. And it was similar, but it was more country and it was more weirdly drawn out. It was Ripplinger Motors is where you should be. Oh, Christ.
Oh my God.
I love car dealership jingles.
Car dealership jingles are wonderful, especially when they're weird.
Yeah.
Like the world needs more weird car dealership jingles. I think I can never get enough of it because they're always so specific.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is treading on, Patton Oswalt.
It is
joke.
a bit. It is treading on, but I mean, there's some truth to what he's saying.
Well, that's why it's funny,
right?
Is because it's absolutely nothing. It's not useful information, but you will fucking remember it.
Yeah,
that's the power of advertising.
There's this car dealership in Southern California. When I lived there, there is no doubt in my mind that the owner of this car dealership has been dead for fucking 35 years. But I still remember, here's Cal Worthington and his dog, Spot. If you want a brand new car, go see Cal.
Why did they go for that tune? If you want a brand new car, go see Cal.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Funny.
And the dog Spot, by the way, I don't know what his fucking connection was, but was always some weird exotic animal. Maybe he'd be walking through his dealership with a goddamn llama, or a giraffe, or
his dog,
an elephant. Yeah, it was never a dog.
Interesting.
Cal Worthington and his dog Spot.
I don't think I will ever in my life forget the MJ McGuire.
No, of course
jingle.
not. Nor will I.
I highly doubt that I will. I'm trying to remember ones from when I was a kid, though, and I'm wondering if there just weren't a lot of super catchy ones for the dealerships in Bismarck.
Right, because that's where a lot of your media would have come from at that time.
Like the dealership, there's a dealership in Mandan called Bill Barth, but I can't remember if they had like TV, if they had a jingle on their TV ads.
Right.
I can't remember it, which is odd because I have such specific memory for everything I've ever seen on television.
Sure.
But like I can't recall that. So maybe they just didn't have a good jingle there. I think there's the car dealership jingles have kind of died out a little bit.
Perhaps.
A lot of these are places.
Old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah, I think it's sad because, they're funny.
They are.
They're funny because they're so specific.
And they stick in your head. I mean, like, are there any from like right here in town that you can think of it?
No,
like
not
for a
really.
Jingle, no.
Not for any Minot dealerships, no.
Right.
For what the hell is the Super Pumper just can't be beat?
That's a gas station.
That's a gas station, but I remember that jingle. Yes. So jazzy.
It
Go
is.
to Super Pumper
and
have
around
a jazzy time.
Up the street, Super Pumper just can't be beat.
Just get I want it to be oh no, I can't remember his name. Louis Armstrong. Super Pumper just can't be beaten.
And
it'd be wonderful.
When in the early days of radio computing, at least in this neck of the woods, we didn't quite know how to use these magic machines. We'd always be using carts and tape, and razor blades and shit like that.
Physical media.
Heavy amounts of cocaine, and so I still remember the guy. It's Jeff Bliss's brother-in-law, who's working down in Bismarck now, but he used to work up here with us. And I will never forget working on a weekend, and he was recording spots directly into what is known as RCS.
Yes.
And there was a Toads commercial. It was a Super Pumper commercial. And then I'm sitting there on a weekend, and it's a digital commercial, and I was playing, and I look up and I go, why is this commercial 2 minutes and 45 seconds long? And so it was him, Scott. Come to Toad's Ride and Shine and get the Works Car Wash and get a special coffee for the okay. Come to Toad's Ride and Shine. It was like 4 different versions of it. I'm letting this whole fucking thing play.
Into the system.
Yeah, right into the system.
Playing on the radio.
It didn't occur to him to trim it out.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Getting, ladies and gentlemen, quickly an inside look at the life. Like you should have just if you could, if it were at all possible, just press pause. Ladies and gentlemen, now a special inside look into the life of producing audio for radio commercials. Here's Scott.
Yeah. Or today when I went to our receptionist and said, hey, can you be a stoner?
She's remarkably versatile.
She is.
When we need her to do voices, which is something she's not paid to do.
She is not. But I mean, of course, when you go to her and you say, hey, Kim, can you read anything? She's like, yeah.
Jumps at the opportunity.
Right. So I was actually going to bring it to you. I thought, oh, Kayle, he's a professional voiceover. He can do voices and great. Wait a minute. What if this is a 60-year-old woman?
What if this is a 60-year-old bubbly grandma?
Yeah.
Bubbly Midwestern grandma.
Stoned to the bejesus.
And she sounded great.
She did.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
Oh, God. We have fun.
We do.
Sometimes it's really annoying.
Your first hour today.
That was the first half hour of my life at my job this morning was unpleasant.
I was sitting at my desk behind a wall that has fabric on it. And on the other side of that wall, there's a closed door. And behind the closed door, all the way, like halfway through the room, there's Kayle. And I'm sitting at my desk with my headphones on, all these obstacles between us. And all I can hear is, God damn it!
Oh God, it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because we have a morning show that comes in via internet/satellite bullshit. I don't know exactly the detail is anyway. It's been the connection's been spotty.
Right.
And it's been causing problems. So the boss this morning was like, just cut it off, put in some music. Well, trying to do that while the system is moving along, throwing down the tracks while the train is moving, is really fucking difficult.
Yeah, from the front of the train. Yeah.
When it's 8:30 in the morning and you've been awake for 45 minutes and you haven't had any coffee yet.
Right.
It was frustrating.
Yeah,
it was frustrating to say the least. And also, I'm not a morning person.
Right.
I'm no fun at all in the mornings. Mm-hmm. I get my coffee, I go in the studio, I do my job, and then when I leave the studio, now I'm awake.
Sure, at 10:30.
Like I'm just kind of on autopilot through that because this is what I know how to do. Mm-hmm. God help me if I have to interact with people in the morning.
And if they messed with our routine, it ruins the rest of the day.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's I have enough space mentally for probably 2 or 3 interruptions.
Sure.
More than that, and if each one is more than 5 minutes, like a serious interruption and not something willful of me going like, all right, I need a short break. Let me go talk about some random bullshit with OJ for a bit. like
what you did today.
An unwilling interruption.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is complete horse shit.
Right.
If that happens to me. So yeah, that's how it goes sometimes.
That is how it goes.
Sometimes.
So they threw a contest at us.
Yeah.
I mean, I like doing it, but it's not the thing that I do every day.
It's not the thing that I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That gets to be the trouble for me sometimes. It's always like, all right, here's the thing that you got to do now that you don't do every day. And I'll be like, grr, grr, and then I do it and I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought about it for a second. It's all right.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fucking easy.
Yeah, like that but without fail every time.
Yeah.
I'll mentally kick and scream, and then I actually start doing it. And I'm like, oh, this is fine.
Right.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. But
because what we do is not actually work.
Yeah. Speaking of mentally kicking and screaming, I've continued playing Elden Ring.
Of course.
I say that like I'm not having fun with the game.
Sure.
I was screaming and wanted to kick holes in my wall on Monday afternoon because I was playing. I just beat a fairly difficult boss. Getting very close to the end of the game, and you beat this boss and you get to there's a cutscene at the end of that boss. Well, it loads into the cutscene, so the screen goes to black. I was like, all right, cutscene's about to play. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's the cutscene? Where's it at? Screen's just black. 30 seconds go by, game crashes to desktop. Okay, fuck. That hasn't happened to me before, but whatever. All right, I open Steam back up, hit play on Elden Ring, game loads up, I hit continue, get to the loading screen, there's a progress bar in the bottom right corner, loads all the way, screen goes black. All right, I hear the clank of equipment as my character model loads in. The screen stays black, and then it crashes to desktop. I'm like, okay, what if I, instead of hitting continue, what if I hit load save? Nothing happens. So now I start freaking out. I'm like, did I just lose 120 hours of my life? And because this save is fucked. And I tried just like looking around, trying to find solutions for like, okay, is the save file corrupted now? Is it just a glitch? Is there a way that I can recover an earlier save? No, none of that shit, because Elden Ring is not made, FromSoft is a great developer. One thing that they have never, ever done is provide any amenities for PC gamers.
Right.
Every one of their ports has been suboptimal, with like none of the amenities that PC gamers expect for games that are made for them.
Couldn't you have got this for the Xbox then? I mean,
I could have, but my Xbox One is almost a decade old.
Oh.
So I didn't want to play it on that machine because I assumed it would be a less optimal experience even than my PC, which is not the most, like, I have some pretty weighty frame stutters now at the end of the game pretty constantly. It's getting kind of difficult to play in some regards, but I'm sticking with it. But like I just kind of assumed that it would be worse on my old ass Xbox One.
Well, I don't know how old that PlayStation 4 is.
I mean, it's pretty old, but I think if anything, it would probably be more optimized to work on PlayStations than on Xboxes. FromSoft is a Japanese developer. Sony's a Japanese company. And FromSoft has made Sony exclusive games before. So maybe that's a thing. I might be talking out of my ass. But
because all those Japanese people, they all know each other and sit together. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, Mono. They probably know the guys from Mono.
Sure.
But no, I just assume that maybe there's some history there and some tech familiarity that would cause the game to be more optimized on PlayStation.
Which it actually is. It works very well. I mean, I had a similar thing happen over the weekend, but it was my own fault. Yeah, because I knocked the PlayStation onto the floor.
That was a physical.
That was
impetus for that freak out.
And it destroyed the 4 terabyte hard drive.
But then
I just bought a new 4 terabyte hard drive and I plugged it in. I'm like, am I going to lose any of my saves? No, you don't lose any of your saves in PlayStation. The cloud is there. And so I plugged it in. We turned it on. I'm like, yay, it recognized it. I set it up to work and be the target drive for everything again. I was like, cool. And then Max says, all right, I'm going to download all of your games again. So for the next
however many hours.
Yeah. Next day and a half. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Because it was, I got a terabyte worth of games at least.
But anyway, back to my thing.
Let's talk about me again.
Let's talk about me. But yeah, I was having a bad time.
Yeah.
Tried deleting the local file and then downloading the cloud save on Steam. Well, the cloud save on Steam had already updated to the version of the game with the glitch in it. So that did me no good.
Sure.
So I uninstalled Elden Ring and reinstalled it. And that did the trick.
Nice.
Loaded into the game and it worked fine. Nice. So I'm up to the final pair of bosses now, which it's been a long experience with Elden Ring, and I think if I was going to play it again, I would either want to get a beefier PC,
yeah,
or have a new a new Xbox or a new PlayStation to play it on for a smoother, more optimized experience.
When I thought the PlayStation, the one that you handed to me, had fallen on the floor and I thought it was broken. I thought it was. I was contemplating, do I take it and get it fixed, or do I spend the $850 on a PlayStation 5?
But it was not broken.
It was not broken. I mean, because the HDMI cable was broken.
Yes.
And then I had other HDMI cables that I tried to use, but apparently I'm hard on HDMI cables.
You just keep on being mean to those cables.
I do.
What do you do to those cables?
Have sex with them.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't really do that.
Okay. This is a audio medium.
What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying.
Every time he backs off from the microphone, he gives me this wide-eyed look and nods.
I'm not really. He's imagining that entirely.
God. Did it again. You bastard. You bastard.
I killed Kenny.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when I finish Elden Ring. Like, maybe bother to actually put in some work prepping for D&D for the first time in months.
That'd be great. I love it, though. I love it when we show up for D&D during the campaign you're running on Sunday. Yeah. And I could just tell by the level of twinkle in your eye that how much you prepared. Prep. Yeah. Or we show up and, okay, what do you guys want to do?
You're asking us? Yeah, if I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? That's a clear sign that I didn't really prepare much of anything because and sometimes it's not even because I was lazy. Sometimes it's just because I genuinely don't know what to go and do because I want the campaign to be your guys' story. And
you're not wrong for that. That's awesome.
I want you guys to guide, and I want it to be mostly at least about where you want to go, and I'll figure out what to put in front of you when you get there.
And we have a lot of options that we already are aware of.
Yeah. And you're at the point of the campaign where it's like you have a lot, like you said, you have a lot of options. Now you just kind of got to commit to one,
right?
And we're down a player for a few months.
Right, he's going to be in the forest.
So it's like now is the time for you guys to kind of fuck around and do random bullshit for a bit.
Sure.
And then once you guys get the cleric back, then it's like, all right, now we can be serious about it because we're not at risk of constantly dying.
Right.
Because the healer's here.
Right. Because that was hilarious. We're like, it's probably not a good idea that we get into a bad fight with all these bandits because no cleric, so...
But then you open up. I mean, you've still got the two main spellcasters, so like we shouldn't get into this fight. But we do have Fireball and Shatter, and these are just guys.
Let's vote on it.
And then when you couldn't decide via vote, no, you did.
We did decide via vote.
It was all right. It was a couple of layers of indecision.
Yeah.
That first was. You guys going, I don't know, should we not? And then someone basically flipped a coin.
Yeah.
And it landed on, no, let's not do it. And then you went, let's do it anyway. Let's vote on it. And then it was 3-1. You're like, all right, we're doing this. And yeah, open up with, some extreme AoE magic. And you honestly, if you guys were going to fight them, you played it pretty smooth. Of waiting until you had tricked them into leaving the fort.
Sure. Which wasn't a trick at the time.
Well, there was a trick because the warlock convinced them that there was a whole bunch of soldiers on the way.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what got them to leave.
Right. But then they said they'd be watching for the soldiers like, well, I guess it kind of blows our cover, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, because he didn't roll super high on the deception check.
Right.
I think Matt what did Matt get on the D20 for that deception check?
He fumbled it and then used all of his bumps.
He got a nat
to get it up to 11
on the deception check.
Yeah.
Which I could have just been like, nat 1, fuck you. But since he was willing to use, since he was immediately like, all right, I got a whole bunch of shit that I can use to bump this up. I was like, okay, I'll let you do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, he literally has an ability called Dark One's Own Luck, where he draws on the power of a devil to make a roll better. It's like, all right, yeah, I'll allow that, to not to negate a critical failure. Even though, in social engagements or skill checks, right, there's no critical failure or critical success. It's just you rolled the lowest you could roll. You rolled the highest you could roll.
Sure.
That's all it is. So
in fifth edition.
In 5th edition, I don't have any hands-on experience with other editions of D&D to say whether or not that is the case. But yeah, criticals are successes and failures are rules as written, only a thing in combat situations. A lot of people like to go with, oh, you rolled a nat 20 on your, deception check. They believe every single word you say and are willing to die for you because that's fun. If you're playing a really long campaign, it gets harder and harder to sustain doing that because every single roll, if you decide to honor that, like, all right, if you get a nat 20, I have to do it. You can allow your players to do some pretty world-breaking, ridiculous shit. And not everyone has the patience or the skill to put up with that for a multi-month campaign.
Personally, I feel in my heart of hearts. I mean, I'm not making any rules, so I'm not gonna say it's not my game. It's I'm just one of the monkeys. If you're going to allow like a nat 20 to be some sort of wow critical, you need to leave the critical fumble in because that makes it, the stakes even.
And most people who do have like insane success on a nat 20 do also have horrifying depths of failure on a nat 1.
Right.
Most people I'm aware of that do that appropriately go to both extremes. Mm-hmm. Whereas for me, like, I've lost characters to people rolling nat 1s in combat and killing my character on accident. So I'm like, I am against critical fumbles in combat and in social scenarios where, like, yeah, if you get a nat 1 on a really important persuasion check, it's going to be bad for you. And your character probably made themselves look a fool. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to result in your immediate death. It's just going to result in, this noble that you were trying to kiss ass to does not like you.
I critical fumble in social situations all the time.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm terrible. Remember that time when I poked a hole or I told you about, did I tell you about poking a hole in the root beer at Sonic? I'm pretty sure I told you about that.
Oh yeah, with your straw.
Yeah,
that was holding it out the window.
That was a critical fumble sleight of hand check. That's what that was. Roll a sleight of hand check too. That was
put a straw in a cup.
That was the dungeon master asking me. That was the dungeon master of the universe asking me to make a check for something that was entirely unnecessary, something that should not have been a roll,
and it was a 1.
And I got a 1. I'm like, why did you make me roll for that?
Here's my question: what kind of place is still making styrofoam drink containers anyway? Still, I mean,
I don't know. Apparently whoever provides Sonic's cups, it should really be cardboard. Yeah, that's what it is. Literally everywhere else. Cardboard.
It's hard to pierce,
and it's a more eco-friendly material.
Yeah,
it's just paper. It's just paper that got thick and they put some lacquer on it.
Right.
That's all it is.
And now, it's probably not lacquer. It's probably like some sort of a wax.
Generally,
I feel like lacquer would be at least a little bit poisonous.
Nah, it's fine. Sure, it's fine. They shellacked it.
But you can actually
varnished it.
You can eat shellac.
Well, yeah, because it's just bug.
Yeah.
It's bug goo that got hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard bug goo.
Actually, chemically, shellac and a Jolly Rancher are about the same thing.
Well, yeah, because it's just what? Okay, maybe am I thinking of something? What the hell is shellac made of? Isn't it made of like? Isn't it made of like?
Maybe it is made.
Yeah,
made of bug goo.
It's a resin secreted by the female lac bug on trees in the forests of India and Thailand. That's what it is. I knew it was bug goo, but I doubted myself.
Yeah.
Mono.
Yeah, I had it about 20 years ago. It was terrible. My glands all swell up. I was weak.
Did you get it from kissing?
Probably. I was kissing people all the time.
Just kissing so many people.
I was kissing. I was just a kissing bandit. I was just...
Oh, you're slowly turning. I can't. I don't know which. I can't remember in my head which one is Beavis and which one is Butthead.
This one is Butthead.
Okay. Beavis. All right. I can't remember. You were slowly turning into Butthead.
I'm the Great Cornholio.
Yes. Okay, Mono. So we're talking about the album Pilgrimage of the Soul.
Yes.
Came out in 2021. This is their, like
15th or something like that?
It's a crazy number of albums. Let me check here. Why did you go away? That was musical. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is their 11th studio album.
Yeah.
They've done a number of compilation albums, split EPs, live albums. They recently did a soundtrack for something. I don't know if it was a game or what it was that they just put out recently, but it was a soundtrack for something that they did that came out a couple of days ago. I haven't listened to that yet.
Cool.
But yeah, this is their most recent studio album, produced by the illustrious Steve Albini.
Yeah. This was produced by Steve Albini?
This was produced by Steve Albini. He's produced every one of their albums since 2004.
Wow. Wow.
You seem incredulous.
Well, I don't know. Most of the things that are produced by Steve Albini, I think is obviously sometimes, this is beautiful. Like front to back is beautiful. And a lot of the stuff Steve Albini does is occasionally the music is an asshole itself.
What? Say that again for me.
The music itself is an asshole. Why is this music being an asshole right now?
It's just hard to listen to.
It's just hard to listen to. Like
that's just the bands.
On purpose. Yeah. Well, it's the bands and I think it has something to do is also with his production. A lot of times he likes to make it
kind of crunchy.
He likes to make it crunchy. He likes to make it hard to swallow.
Which works for most of the bands he typically produces for.
Sure.
What are there's an extremely long list of bands that he's worked with, but here I'm just gonna try and pull.
He didn't know
something up. At least recent stuff, because God, it's an extremely long list.
He has a large body of work.
He's such a prolific producer, in a very wide variety of genres as well. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just moving on. I saw Neurosis on there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the thing about Neurosis, though, is obviously the thing they do is that they're a weird, they're a weird post-metal band,
right,
with all these influences from doom and industrial and all this other stuff. But there are moments on most Neurosis albums that sound more calmer and more beautiful like this. And certainly, if you listen to Steve Von Till's solo music, it's haunting. He sounds like a weathered old cowboy.
He's a great producer. He truly is, and he can do that stuff. But I'm just saying there are usually moments somewhere in there
that's like, ugh.
Yeah. Did that song just kick my dog?
There's nothing like that on
there's nothing like
this album. This is a just achingly beautiful album.
Beautiful and lush, and the D word, definitely dynamic.
Yeah. So the members of the band include this is usually I'm pretty good with Japanese names because when they're there's Taka. Her name is Taka Akira Goto. Usually I'm pretty good with Japanese names because they're spelled perfectly phonetically.
Sure.
When you Latinize them. But then there's Hideki Sumatsu, Dom Majuri Chipola, which I assume he's not of Japanese descent, or at least not entirely, because that Chipola does not strike me as a Japanese name.
No, it makes me think of made-to-order burritos.
But and then Tamaki Kunishi on bass. I guess I didn't say Taka, and his nickname is Yoda, by the way, is Hideki Sumatsu. Taka and Yoda are on guitars, and then Dom is on drums. But there was a fifth member for a while. I can't remember their name. Pete Best.
Yeah. Yeah.
He got around to this band too, and they didn't keep him either.
Right. And he's been dead for a while.
It's weird. But they've been making music since 1999.
Yeah.
Part of what is widely called the second wave of post-rock. I guess I'm not super familiar with what you would really call the first wave of post-rock. I imagine that's a lot of bands I haven't really heard of from earlier in the 90s.
I think they include a lot of the early shoegaze in with that.
Yeah, that's would be my guess. It's a lot of bands that today we'd probably more so call them shoegaze than post-rock maybe. The second wave kind of, I think, sort of kicks off, sort of leads in with Godspeed You Black Emperor, and you've got, Explosions in the Sky and a whole million other bands copying the style of those two. And I think there is also, a lot of collaboration with like late 90s, like Midwest emo, that sort of thing. Like you've got the one like 90s Midwest emo band that I know about and have bothered listening to is American Football. I think it's American Football that I've listened to.
We're gonna have to find some Godhead silo for you as well.
Godhead, okay.
Fargo.
From Fargo,
yeah.
Okay. But American Football has their first album, which came out in 1999, and then they immediately broke up as soon as it started getting any attention whatsoever.
We're cool and edgy and underground. They like us? No.
I wouldn't call them edgy.
You can call them edgy?
It's a very pleasant album to listen to. But they broke up and then got back together in 2014. They've been making music since then. That's also very good. They have a cover of Fade Into You by Mazzy Star.
Oh, nice.
That I really like. That came out last year sometime. Anyhow, yeah, second wave of post-rock, that's kind of, what it is. Lot of the... Definitely, I think they, at least on this record, they lean more towards the Explosions in the Sky end of the spectrum of like, we're not going to get too terribly weird with this the way that Godspeed You Black Emperor does, where it's like, this is weird. This is some fucking weird music. This is more of the, I've heard it referred to as sparkle and combust, where it's like, we're going to be really pretty, and time to get really a big crescendo in here, and they do it very, very well.
Very well.
I think that style of post-rock, like, I never get tired of it. And there are so many ways to innovate with that and make it sound unique. I think Mono has a very when they get louder and louder, they tend to have a very noisy edge to it.
They got a great guitar tone.
Yeah, their guitar tone is amazing.
Yeah.
But like overall, I think that style of post-rock is, it's like vanilla ice cream, right? Like people talk shit about vanilla ice cream. Vanilla ice cream's fucking great.
It's amazing.
And you can put fucking anything in it.
You can.
And it will also be good.
Right.
Like this album is like a really good hot fudge sundae.
Sure.
It's great. You get done and it brings back memories of all the other hot fudge sundaes you've had.
Totally.
It's great.
You get a brain freeze.
You get a brain freeze in the middle of it and you go, ooh, you think you're going to die. But then you make it through. You ever had a brain freeze so bad you thought you were going to die?
I've had several brain freezes where I didn't think I was going to actually die, but I was hoping for it.
That's the thing about a really bad brain freeze.
Yeah.
Is you're like, anything to make this end.
Yeah.
Please, anything at all.
Like that one plant that's in Australia. What's it called? A gimpy or something like that?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It's called the suicide plant.
Or you touch the barb or whatever, the stinger, and it.
Or you just rub against the leaves.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Tiny little fibers. And if they get into, there's a neurotoxin so extremely potent in there. There's like, I'm just jumping off this cliff right now.
I'm gonna.
Done.
Well, and it's not actually, is it one of those things where it's like the toxin is not actually harmful? It's just that it creates such a massive pain response.
It's not going to kill you.
The same way like wasp stings are.
Right.
Where it's just, the chemical is just designed to hijack your nervous system and make you think you're in an incredible amount of pain when really there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You might other than the pain continuing, the only physical response you'll have is a mild irritation where you got stung.
Right.
Unless you're allergic to it, in which case you'll die.
Right.
You will die then. There's so many videos I've watched. What the hell is that guy's name? I almost said Coyote Peterson. That's the guy who narrates.
That's Peter Coyote.
Peter Coyote. Maybe it is Coyote Peterson. Guy on YouTube that for a long time went around. He's like a wilderness guy that would go around getting himself stung by everything because he was trying to follow I can't remember the pain scale of insect stings, what it's called. But he was like following that, trying to see if his ranking of what how painful they were lined up. And he was in South America and encountered it's called the Executioner Wasp.
Yes, I've heard of this.
And it's like one of the most painful things. That's a man who made his living off of in having animals inflict incredible amounts of pain on him. Said it was the most pain he's ever been in his entire life.
Wow.
But that was a weird diversion, but I had fun.
Yeah.
Do you think this album slaps?
Do I slap? Does it slap in terms of is it really good? What the team say? Yeah, it's really good.
If we're going with the team, the way the Zoomers say it,
there's no mosh pit at a Mono concert.
That's true.
I mean, so there's none of that.
I mean, you could try. I think maybe it could happen. If you really try to get one going, maybe it could happen. I think it kind of depends on who they're on tour with. If they're on tour with someone where there could be a mosh pit and you've got a crowd that went to see them as well, you could maybe get it going.
It would be weird for the Moshy band to open for the Sparkle and Combust band. I think
for the pretty post rock band. I have seen, by the way, pictures before I ever listened to them. On post rock subreddit, I saw pictures of Taka's pedal board, and you look at that thing and you're like, any more circuits, that thing's going to become self-aware and demand the deaths of the human race for the crimes they have committed against cyber life forms.
Sure.
Like add too many more pedals there, and we're going to have a Skynet situation on our hands very quickly. I think this album, if I were to say that it slaps in some regard, sure it does. Slaps you in the face emotionally sometimes. It does. Including one huge gigantic moment, which we'll talk about. The whole reason that we're talking about this at all, we'll, I guess, talk about it in a bit. But on Metacritic, this album has an 83, very much in line with, generally speaking, albums that are, so to speak, critically acclaimed often end up at an 83. So no surprise there. I think it deserves every percentage of that. What's your favorite song on this album?
Man, I mean, there's my favorite, my go-to song on this. I really love the single. I really love Innocence. But yes. That's great. But I also really tend to like the ones that don't have a whole lot of the combustion in it.
Yeah, the really intense.
I really
parts.
like Heaven and a Wildflower.
Okay.
I really like what's the final cut? It doesn't.
The final cut and Eternity in an Hour.
And Eternity in an Hour.
I also like that as well. I am obligated to say Innocence, which is I listened to this kind of on a whim a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
And I got to Innocence. I was like, oh, this is very pretty. Oh, this is building up something. Oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Just sitting there like I had to grab onto something.
He came in to play it for me, and it was distorting his phone.
It basically blew out the speaker on my phone.
Yeah.
Trying to play that moment, but just like the sheer intense chills that I got listening to that moment in Innocence just absolutely sold me on this album and the band in general. And I had seen Mono come up and recommended so many times, and I was just like, another post-rock band, whatever. I don't need. And then I listened to this, was like, oh shit, okay, well now I got to listen to everything they've ever done.
Right.
If you listen to any track on this album, I would recommend listen to Innocence first, and that will tell you everything you need to know about the type of music that Mono makes. And watch the music video.
The music video, oh man.
Oh, incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Made me very sad.
You're welcome.
Marcus was satisfied. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I refer to the goblin in my brain that likes sad, depressing music as Marcus.
Right.
Because obviously I can't attribute that to myself.
No, he can't take credit for his own shitty behavior.
It's not shitty behavior. It's just sad music. But I also really enjoy the last big cut, which is hold infinity in the palm of your hand.
Right.
That's like the real closer. And then after
that is great. That's like 12 minutes and something.
Yes. And eternity in an hour is like the come down from that. That's
right.
It's the denouement, the epilogue. That's maybe the first time I've used denouement in a sentence out loud.
Denouement. Yeah.
Denouement? Denouement?
Yeah.
Denouement.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This is the sound of Kayle using a phrase he's about 80% on.
Well, I know what it means. I just didn't know precisely how to pronounce it out loud because, again, I've never used it in a sentence out loud.
You mean with all the French people around here? You've never had a chance to immerse yourself in a conversation
in the French language. I haven't spent enough time north of the border.
Right.
To truly have that experience, because there's so many French speakers in southern Manitoba and Saskatchewan.
So you'd have to go a bit east.
Yeah, I'd have to head a ways east into at least the middle of Ontario, if not further, to find anyone who casually speaks French in conversation. But those are my two favorite tracks. I mean, I like just about everything on this album, but those are the ones that really, really stick out for me in general. But like when I listen to Innocence, when I know that big moment is coming, I lean back and just close my eyes and just let it wash over me, because it's such a wonderful, just pure emotional experience. And if you're the kind of person that gets chills when you listen to music, I think that will probably trigger that feeling for you. So if you're the sort of person that seeks out that kind of experience, this is an album for you for sure.
Right.
I think that's a big part of why I tend to seek out emotional sort of music, is it gives me, I like the nice little tingly feel. It's like ASMR. It might be the same root thing as it. Is, yeah. I'm familiar with it being referred to as frisson, is what it's usually called when it comes to music. But like I've never listened to a single ASMR thing that actually did anything for me.
No,
it doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. It's just like, this is just someone rustling a brush next to a microphone and whispering a little bit. This is nothing to me.
I accidentally gave people an ongoing ASMR experience during an online D&D campaign.
All right, everyone, and now I'm going to roll initiative. And here's the sound of me rolling the dice.
Well, no,
and Oh, that's a natural 20.
It wasn't that at all. It was the fact that I didn't realize where I had placed my microphone.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't notice that every time I opened an Almond Joy, that everybody was getting a... And
See,
then
I
so for like
despise that.
an hour, and everybody's going, okay, where the fuck is that coming from?
Who's doing that?
Who's doing that? and then I went, oh, that someone is me.
One of the people I play with on Saturday,
Yeah.
They have this microphone that we're using,
Yeah.
but not hooked up to any kind of like board or anything that has any sort of noise gate on it or anything whatsoever. So I hear everything that happens in that man's apartment, including his incredibly loud mechanical keyboard, which when it comes to a loud mechanical keyboard, I can't really throw stones in a general sense because I have one and I like it a lot. But I also have a lot of money's worth of audio equipment that does a good job at keeping that sound out of other people's ears when I'm talking to them on the internet.
Just need a noise gate. That's all you really need.
I tried telling him, but he's got no money. So it's like I have considered buying him a fucking DBX processor, the one that I've got at my desk and the one that we all got for the rest of you got for your home stuff. I already had that,
right?
But it's like I've considered buying him one of those and sending it to him and just plug your microphone into this for the love of Christ. Use these settings, please. So I'm just tired of it.
Well, here, let me check. Clackety, 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 clack. Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's usually. And it was like, well, I turned the gain down or I turned the gain up. It's like, that doesn't change what your microphone picks up.
Right.
That doesn't change. Your microphone will always pick up the same amount of sounds. You're just modulating how loud everything is.
If you turn it down too far, we can't hear you. If you turn it down loud enough, turn it up loud enough, we hear the damn keyboard.
Yeah, it's... Anyway, rant over. What medal are you bestowing upon Pilgrimage of the Soul?
I
like
get...
Maz Kanata to Chewbacca, hold on.
Sorry.
Continue.
Sorry. I will listen to this again. It's an A. It's a gold. It's an A.
You completely forgot what
the system was.
What rating system we use. Yeah,
I give this a 1.
This is a gold.
Yeah.
And if for nothing else, then convincing me that the rest of their discography is worth my time.
Right.
Yeah, this is like the moment when I first heard. It reminds me a bit of the moment when I first heard Happy Pola by Sigur Rós.
Sure.
I listened to that and was like, oh, I need to listen to everything else that this band has made. This was a magical experience.
You've played the whole album I got you, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to them in a while. So that's now that they've come to my mind, I probably will listen to them tonight if I'm not sitting in front of Elden Ring going, come on.
Maybe there'd be a good combination for you.
Maybe. Well, I don't. But the music. The
music
into,
in Elden Ring is great.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that.
Plus, if you're not listening to what's going on in Elden Ring, it might get you killed.
Exactly.
Like right now.
Exactly. So, but anyway, that was our discussion of this week's album. What about next week?
I'm curious. Have I ever brought Nevermore to the podcast?
No.
I'd like to get you to listen to.
Nevermore,
Dead Heart.
Quoth the Crow. Famously, it was a crow.
Yeah,
or maybe it was
a raven.
No, it was a magpie.
It was a raven.
No, I'm pretty sure it was a magpie.
No, it was a western meadowlark.
I think it might have been a blackbird. It definitely was a blackbird.
Quoth the chickadee. Nevermore.
No, it was a killdeer. Actually,
it was a killdeer.
Yeah.
I always forget that that's a bird.
Yeah, it's a bird. It's not just a town in North Dakota next to a slightly pointy hill.
Right. The mountains of North Dakota.
The Kildeer Mountain. It's only called that because they were like, a battle took place near here.
Right.
We can't call it the Battle of Kildeer Hill. So we're going to call it a mountain. So it looks better in the newspaper when they send that back off out east.
As long as they don't include a picture.
Yeah. to tell people about the illustrious adventures of General Custer.
Going up Kildeer Mountain.
Or no, he had gotten back down to colonel by the time he died, didn't he? Because they temporarily made him a general during the Civil War, I think is how it was.
Was it the Civil War?
Yeah, well, because he was in the Civil War, and then afterwards he fought Native Americans.
Right.
There was something to do in the Civil War where they made him. He was a brevet brigadier general. I don't remember.
Yeah.
This is nothing.
This is neither here nor there.
So what got us on this weird tangent? Yeah. Nevermore.
Nevermore. A dead heart in a dead world.
Dead Heart in a Dead World by Never. What can I expect from this?
Well, I mean, it is at its core thrash metal.
Okay.
Nevermore. Here's what the story that I understand. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But what happened was after releasing their second album, the band Sanctuary hired a new guitar player, Jeff Loomis, who came in and it's like, cool, we're gonna do this thing. And the other guitar player, Lenny Rutledge, said, awesome, welcome to the grunge band Sanctuary. And everybody else went, what did he just say? Did he just say grunge band?
But I thought we were a thrash band.
So Nevermore.
Everyone was like, well, we're gonna be a thrash band.
Yeah.
Okay.
With or without you. Oh, without you? Take care now,
sir.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of a thrashy experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna have like flavors of Sanctuary in there as well. I mean, it's got an older. It's got
flavors of Sanctuary.
Tastes like Sanctuary. It's Worrell Day. Worrell's voice is a very interesting story because he started out doing that high screechy thing, and eventually he became this crazy deep baritone.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm interested to find out, to hear the story unfold.
This is their more accessible album of all their albums.
All right.
I try to do that with you. I think
trying
sometimes
to bring the more accessible ones.
The more accessible ones of their. If you've never heard this band before, listen to this one first.
Wasn't the Celtic Frost album you brought technically one of their more accessible ones as well?
Yeah, I mean, kinda. I should have brought in their first album. You would have understood that one better. That would have made sense to you. I brought in their second one. It was like we're going to get very artsy and we're going to make. I don't know why suddenly they talk like these.
Where are they from?
They're from Switzerland.
Okay.
So yeah.
I don't have a good handle on the Swiss accent.
There's four or five.
There's a whole bunch of different because there's 15 official languages.
Right. There's German. There's Italian. There's French. There's Russian. There's Thousand Island.
Yes.
There's
So next week, Nevermore. Can you say the album name for me one more time? Make it stick.
Dead Heart in a Dead World.
Dead Heart in a Dead World by Nevermore. So until that time comes, why not check out our social media pages?
Sure.
Facebook or Twitter. Your choice. Or both. Wow. What a crazy world we live in that you could do both.
Yeah, you could do the Twit book.
You don't have to choose one.
Or Facer.
And in fact, I think maybe it'd be mentally better for you to choose neither, and you know, just not be on those apps. But if you must, if you insist, then why not follow us? Also, subscribe to our feed, whether you're listening to us on your Apple device, the podcast app. Why don't you subscribe there and continue getting more episodes? Or if you're listening to us on Libsyn itself, our hosting service, go ahead and subscribe to our feed there as well. Why not? So until next week, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.
Ding.